to just kind of summarize what we're going over today?
Well, today we'll talk about best practices in resumes. We'll talk about standard resumes versus creative resumes. We'll talk about the applicant tracking software, which is a big hurdle that everyone has to kind of overcome in their job search. And I believe you'll be showcasing some ways we can use some Adobe products to really make those creative resumes sing.
Excellent. Cool. It looks like people are coming in. So let me remind everybody. First, where are you watching from, everybody? Let us know. The comments below the live, wherever you are. I believe I saw there was someone that said, "Say I will learn" on YouTube.
Hi, Ronald. Welcome.
I will learn. I'm saying it. Someone from Chicago. So says Facebook user. So just let me remind anyone who's watching from the Facebook groups to please give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pic, so I will be able to comment. You will be able to comment, ask questions, and enter the contest. You would just scroll down underneath the live video under the description and click where it says StreamYard.com/Facebook. Click that link, give it permissions, jump on back. Don't forget, we're having a contest at the end, so your name has to be showing so you can win. And we got Rodrigo from Santa Monica, California. Cool. Got Eric. I haven't seen him in a while. Good to see you here, Eric, from Redlands, California. And Alan from the heart of the darkest Clearwater.
Clearwater. That's fun.
Is it raining there today?
Not
raining,
yet.
Alan. And then we got Evelyn, who's on Facebook. So yeah, just a reminder, Evelyn, to give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pic. Scroll down to the link where it says StreamYard.com/Facebook and give permissions. Okay.
Oh, happy
and
teach.
Andrea's here. Happy teach. Hey, beautiful peeps.
We had her on a couple months ago. She's a great teacher.
Good to see you here, Andrea. Someone says I am one of the world's leading resume writers, so I'd be glad to help.
Awesome.
So make sure, Facebook user, that you give permission to StreamYard. So scroll down underneath the description under the live, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, click that, give permissions, jump on back. Thank you. There's also a contest at the end. So
yeah, we'll be raffling off a year's subscription to Creative Cloud. So that's why it's important to go ahead and sign in and give them your permission. Yeah.
Cool. So Mandy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. My name is Mandy Miner, and I am a resume writer and a career coach and a career strategist. And I've been doing this work for quite a while. I am not certified in any particular technique. I'm certified in the fact that the resumes I write get people interviews, which is the goal of the resume. It's not to get you the job, it's to get you the interview. So I have a lot of experience helping people pinpoint the jobs they would like to get, do career changes. I've helped people that have been out of the workforce get back into the workforce. So, there's a lot of different techniques and tactics that I can help people with so that they can get the jobs they want.
Excellent. And shall I share your screen and we jump on in?
Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah, so switch over to that tab and then very good. Here we go.
Okay. So what I'm doing, this particular document is what I would suggest creatives start with. Now, a lot of my clients, this is where they end. They don't need to get creative beyond this. Let's say technical careers, sales people, even some marketing folks. keep it very simple because of the ATS, which stands for Applicant Tracking System. So if you're familiar with it, I'll try to keep the description brief. You send your resume in, it goes into an email or it goes into an online system, and before a human gets to it, a computer scans it. So half of the work that I do is to make the computers happy, and then once we can pass it through the scanning software, get it into the hands of a person, the other half of my work is designing this so that the person likes what they see and they're like, yes, I want to call this candidate. Because the average time they spend looking at a resume before they make a decision to call you or not is 6 seconds. So we don't have a lot of time to get them to say, yeah, let me get this person on the phone. So this is just a basic outline. I'd be happy to share it with anybody after this. If you want to contact me after this, I can get this over to you. Very simple contact information, name, email, phone, LinkedIn. Don't need to put your physical address. I like to do an introduction section that takes up maybe a third of the first page, or if you're lucky enough to be able to do a 1-page resume, this introduction section could be a little bit shorter. Real quick, 1-page resumes are beautiful because they're quick and to the point, but if you have more than 6 or 7 years of experience, you're probably going to want 2 pages. And 2 pages is fine. 2 pages is the max. No 3-page, no 4-page. They want to see like the last 10 years. So I usually stick to the last 10, 15 years. With this introduction section, we do a headline, some bullets, which I've done 2 of the bullets, and I've just left some empty spaces because those bullets are going to vary depending on the job description that you're applying for. And then I do a core competencies section. So this little bit of real estate here gives us a really good opportunity to put in a lot of keywords. So you're looking at job descriptions, you're seeing the kind of things that they need you to be able to do, and you're turning it around and presenting it to them here in this first section. The headline is this little guy right here, can also be a great jumping off point for your LinkedIn headline. So you're going to want, your LinkedIn content, your resume content to be complementary. So I like to do the resume first and then build the LinkedIn from the final resume. Okay, so we've got, this is who I am. This is what I can do. These verbs I usually put in present tense, the gerund format, because if somebody's reading this, they're painting a picture of you in their brain. So by saying representing, communicating, delivering, it's action verbs, and they're like, oh, this person's, they're getting it on, they're doing it. So there's a lot of psychology of reading to the techniques that I use, and that's one of the tricks that I rely on a lot. So this can change varying depending on the job that you're going for. I mean, if you're just doing graphic design, you can probably land on an introductory section that you can use over and over and over again. But especially with the software skills, you're going to want to make sure you weave a couple of those in here. And then we'll talk again about the software at the bottom of the resume. Some people go ahead and just put another section that's just like my core competencies, and they do the software right up front. That is something I think is a personal choice. I like to put a few in with the core competencies here. I like to mix hard and soft skills here. And then at the bottom of the resume, do a whole bunch of the software. That way the scanner gets it, and the software is in a separate section if somebody's looking for software, which I know is important in the creative fields. Moving on to experience, like I said, we only need to go back like 10, 15 years. I mean, even if you were the president of General Motors like 30 years ago, things change, and it just doesn't, it's not relevant anymore. So stick to the last, 10, 15 years. Anytime you can say you were selected ahead of a number of candidates, you were recruited or promoted, brag about it. Say it. Say, I was promoted to do this for this company, because that builds desirability, and they want the best of the best. So somebody selected, promoted, recruited is definitely a higher, what's the word I'm looking for? A higher ticket item, so to speak, than somebody who just says, I control management of the Publix CoverGirl account. They would say, I was selected ahead of 5 other candidates to control this account. That just sounds a little bit better. The thing about, you don't want to spend a lot of time here like saying things including the basic stuff. We want to talk about how your contributions are helping the company save time, make money, save money, improve productivity. So, for example, this last bullet, you might be able to translate something like this with your career, and you could say that you're helping, you're meeting the internal targets, you're meeting the client targets. If you're lucky enough to know what kind of movement the client's getting from the work, that would be something you could say, increasing sales.
I think Mandy froze. We should come back. Normally, I would say I could step in if it was an Adobe thing, but I'm not the resume person. So
absolutely.
let's give it a little bit.
I could talk a little bit. I can throw that thing that we talked about, LinkedIn. LinkedIn offers. I shared this with Mandy, and she said, "Yeah, this is kind of a new thing in LinkedIn." So if you go to LinkedIn and you go to the company page that you may want to apply for, if you click the About tab and then you scroll down to an area, not all companies will have this, but you might as well check if you have a particular company you want to apply to. They might have an area called Interested in Working with Us in the Future, and you can click on that. And, basically it lets the recruiters from that company know that you have an interest in potentially working for them. So, of course, I had to research this, and they gave me the suggestion of like CVS Health. CVS Health is like I don't know if everybody has CVS where they live, but it's a drugstore essentially, right? So I went to CVS Health and I went online, and sure enough, if I go to the company page and I click the About Us tab, you scroll down, they specifically had, interested in working with us in the future, and then you could click there. So I thought that was kind of a neat tip from LinkedIn that I wanted to share with the group while we're waiting for Mandy to come back.
Right. So I'm just making sure she has the right link again.
Yeah.
So while you are being showcased, do you want to also talk about the Tampa Bay Adobe user group?
Yeah. So thank you all, by the way, for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. So if you want to see more events like this, what I would recommend to do is go on over to our website, the Tampa Bay Adobe User Group.com, and I will always have listings of future events. Right now we have this event today, which is a creative, beefing up your creative resume. And then I have another link on there. In about July, we're going to have guest speaker Eric Addison, and he is a filmmaker. He owns his own company, and he's going to be talking about making better videos. So whether you're a bit of an amateur in making videos, or if you're a seasoned professional, I think you will learn some tips and tricks to making better videos. And I believe he's going to talk a little bit about some of the softwares that he's going to recommend for people that are not as fluent. They don't use it every day, but yet they still might need to make a video for them, for their project or for their business or for their job. But then he also might give some tips and tricks for those people that
Right. And just a reminder as well that you can join the Tampa Bay Adobe user group on Facebook, facebook.com/groups, Tampa Bay Adobe. So let's see. Great tips, says Rodrigo.
Yeah.
He's also a Facebook user, says thank you.
Is Mandy rejoining us? Does she have the link?
She doesn't seem to be contacting me on Facebook either, so I'm not sure if her Wi-Fi itself went out or something. But we'll give it a little bit of time.
Okay.
Maybe you and me will just start a conversation.
Well, yeah.
And if-
So one of the things that I was thinking of is if you are a person that works in the creative industry and let's just say you're not a web designer, Adobe has a really great software. It's like an online program called Adobe Portfolio, and it's really very much like a drag and drop application. So that's something you can use. And I also believe that, Andrew, your recommendation of using Adobe Express to put your portfolio together is another way you can create multiple
and
pages.
resumes.
Yeah. Multiple
So, yeah,
pages.
so that would be, let me see here. Boom. So yeah, Adobe Express is the perfect app to design your resume. You can get a 30-day free trial here, which is also on the event pages. So if you were to scroll down, you would see that link. And I will also have it in the YouTube in the description after this event is over. Thank you.
Another thing that I was talking to Mandy about in a previous meeting, I was asking her opinion on the Chat GPT, which is pretty famous for creating copy and that sort of thing for your resume. And I was asking her, like, how often should we be using that? And she made the suggestion, which I thought was a good suggestion, is that I think it's a good jumping off point, especially for people who are not writers. Giving, getting your cover letter started with something like that. So I thought that was a really great,
Mandy's
tip.
back.
All right.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
So
We
how
filled
much
the
of that
time.
was just me talking to myself?
Like
Like most of it? Maybe it was the screen share.
Not sure, but
What did you guys see?
you just froze for a bit. So
all right, I'm going to try to present again.
Yeah. So yeah, click that button and
we filled the time with some tips and tricks that we talked about prior to the meeting that we were talking about earlier. So got a couple tips in there.
Okay.
And you're switched over to the resume tab, correct?
Can you see
There
it?
we go. Yep.
Yes.
Candidate name. Yes.
I'm going to put it in full screen. Okay. Are you still there?
It's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So did we get any of this before?
Yes, we went down to like the professional experience area, I believe.
Okay. So here I was talking about building desirability by using phrases like selected ahead of 5 candidates or recruited or promoted. If you can say any of those things, definitely say that, because they are looking for any reason to put your resume in the nah pile. And they take about the average time is 6 seconds before they decide, yes, I want to talk to this person, or no, I don't want to talk to this person. Are you guys still there?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to keep asking.
Sorry. Didn't mean to scare you.
I just, because you're very quiet, so I want to make sure.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So it seems like, knowing that any recruiter, scans it for only like 6 seconds, it seems like that's why there is that core competencies core
Yes.
competencies area. So it
Mhm.
shows like you're most focused on skills.
Exactly.
That seems like a good way to kind of get their attention. And then you show like the history of your experience, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You want an introduction section because it gives you an opportunity to throw in a lot of keywords, which did you guys hear me talk about the tracking software, right?
A bit.
Yes, in the beginning, you talked a little bit about
Yes.
that.
So this is the introduction section is as much for the software as it is for anything else. Now, I'm always thinking for this particular presentation is, are we going to be transferring this into another format? And the rule to follow is if they ask for a Word document, you're just going to give them this plain Word document. If they say, send a resume and your portfolio, again, I would send a plain resume and the portfolio, or the link to your portfolio, or however you have that set up. If all they want is a PDF resume, that I think is the opportunity to use some of the Adobe products and dress it up.
Yep.
But I just wanted to say that real quick, because even though you all are in creative fields, you still are going to need to get past the tracking software, which can be a real sticky wicket.
Mandy, can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
There's been lots of people talk about this when they're looking at the physical job, like they're on Indeed or they're on Monster or they're on one of these resources, and they're looking at the job description. How close does your resume need to resemble the actual description that the company has put out? I've been told many times that it should almost sound exactly like the description that the company is put out there.
I think if you have a lot of time and you can sit down and create a resume for every single job, then you want to mimic the job description as closely as possible. Right. Considering that most people don't have that kind of time or they don't want to, I like to come up with a handful of phrases that can be dropped in where these bullets are. And these are built. So in the job description for this was an actual resume that I did for somebody. I took out all of the identifying details. So we looked through the job description and it said, we want you to be able to represent the company professionally, those types of things. So we just turned it around and said, representing company in person and in communications with professionalism and political savvy. So you can take their statements and turn them into active verb snippets. And now, of course, the job description is going to have dozens, and we have, 6 bullets. So you have to decide which bullets am I going to put in the top, which are the most important to them. And what you can't fit in the top, you can address in the experience section. Okay. And I guess we didn't talk about the experience, right? You guys didn't hear any of that?
No, you
beginning just a little bit.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the selected and the promoted and the recruited, beautiful, beautiful words to use. The other thing about experience is they want to know not just what you did, but what was your impact on the company. Mm-hmm. So for creatives, a lot of time that's going to be meeting client expectations, helping to increase sales, maybe improving processes to save time, or just generating more income as a result of the work. It depends on if you're working directly for your employer or if you have clients, you kind of got to feel it out. But you could say, I'm continually working with up to 15 clients across 6 states on 30 projects. Get those numbers in there. Not to like get yourself overworked in your next job. You don't want to say, I've got 300 clients and I manage them every day, because that's not going to last. But to get their arms around what you're capable of. It's like saying, well, I manage a store. Well, is that like a convenience store? Is that a Walmart supercenter? Let's put some numbers to it to help people really understand your scope.
And I do see a lot of numbers on this example. Would a creative person necessarily have all these types of numbers? Are they looking for those kinds of numbers with a creative type job?
They're not looking at the numbers as much, but really the only way to show your impact on your employer's, goals, which ultimately those goals are to make more money, is to quantify. Like anything you can quantify. And I mean, that could be as much as simple as, I coordinate with 5 team members to service 50 clients across 10 states. Just kind of get creative with the numbers and don't worry about being specific. If it's a number you can't share, like you work for a privately held company and they don't want the world to know what their revenue is, you could say, I manage the creative design department for a company with more than $100 million in revenue. And that's a big difference from a company that's got, $50,000. So just kind of think about all the different ways you could quantify your current and previous positions. And just, you don't want it to be like a math worksheet, but we definitely want to put some numbers in there.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
What about for a person who has had to take time off from working? I always think about that, the mom or the dad that had to take time off because, they're the stay-at-home parent.
Right.
How do they, maybe they even volunteered. Maybe they were in part of, they volunteered at an ad fed group or something, or they are active in a user group, or they're still participating in the design industry. How do you overcome something like that?
You can put professional experience. You can put anything under there. You do not have to be paid for it to be professional. So you can put volunteer work. You can put board seats. You can put user group experience. I helped a mom get a job in sales based on fundraising activities she had done at her children's school.
Oh, wow.
So everybody has gaps, everybody. So don't let that be a huge deterrent. You probably have friends coming to you asking you for design advice. I need a business logo. What do you think about this? All of that is professional experience.
That's good. That's
And
really
if you don't have a company to put, like you can't say you work for Procter and Gamble, you could say, design advisor, various 2013 to present. It's okay if you don't have a specific employer to list.
Is it okay to put your own name if you're freelancing, or?
Yeah, usually what I would do is exactly that. I would put the kind of work I was doing over to the left, because you want the focus to be on the work, not the company where it was done. So you could say account executive and project manager, freelance, 2020 to present, or 2020 to present. Yeah. So the good news about that is you have some flexibility with what you want to call yourself. Like if you were at a job and you were clearly doing managerial level tasks, but your title was just like intern or something, you can call yourself whatever you want on the resume over here on the left. And then when you're in an interview, if they specifically ask you, we'd like to call and verify your employment, you can say, well, my official title is X, but as you can see from the conversation we just had, I've been doing much more than that. And that's totally fine too.
Super smart. I really like that, because I think a lot of people, this part of their process of finding a job freaks them out. Like it's like, no, creatives don't do numbers.
Right.
So we don't do numbers. We don't think about business like we should, et cetera, et cetera. So getting over this hurdle of putting it onto paper, making it black and white, like you're doing here, this is a struggle for many of us. And I think this is great.
I mean, it's a struggle for everybody, honestly. And a lot of times I'll sit down with a new client and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But you have to approach it from the point of view of the employer. Like, what are they looking for? They're looking for somebody to help them meet their goals. What are their goals? More than likely, it has to do with revenue. And everybody affects revenue. Everybody in every job is a little bit sales. You got to get your ideas across. You got to work in teams. So you have to go beyond your immediate daily and get somebody from outside to help you. Say, help me brainstorm some of the things that I do at work so that I can flesh out my resume with more than just I'm making awesome designs. And then you want to ask yourself, and so what? And what does that mean for my clients or for my employer?
Nice. Really nice.
So you've got your professional experience. Page 2, honestly, any professional experience that's on page 2, probably at the most, they're going to skim it like fast and they're going to go right to additional detail. So this is great because we can break it out into a bunch of different sections. So you've got your education and training. I would make a bullet or a separate line for every education, every software certification, every technical certificate you have. Make sure they can see it. Then do the same thing with software. Like if up here in education you're an Adobe certified business professional or whatever, then under software you'd also want to list Adobe Suite, just because you don't know what they're going to read. You don't want them to miss it, and it gives the scanning software an extra chance to pick it up. Languages, if you speak any languages, throw that in there. Affiliations, memberships like this group would be perfect. And then any recognitions. Employee of the month, you got your art in a local show. Your resume, you have to brag about yourself because you're the only one that can, and other people are bragging about themselves. So you really gotta bring it to cut through the competition. And then once you have what you feel is a solid resume, you can just take all of this and repurpose it in LinkedIn. You don't have to sit down and I would say definitely have a LinkedIn, but this can be your headline. LinkedIn has room for 50 skills. So these are half of them. And then you can just copy and paste your experience over to LinkedIn. So you want everything to be consistent. I mean, if you want to be more narrative on LinkedIn, you can talk in the first person and be like, I worked on these projects, but keep the experiences the same. Like if you have something on your resume, have it on LinkedIn and vice versa. And you don't have to include everything you've ever done. If there's something you did for a few months at some point in time and it just didn't work out, just leave it off.
And you said just the last 10 years, right?
Generally, the resume itself, we're talking 10 to 15. LinkedIn, you could maybe go back a little further, but here's what you have to consider. Like I said earlier, they're looking for a reason to say, no, I don't need to talk to this person, because they have a stack of 50, 100 people that want to talk to them. So if you have too much experience, they might start playing the game where they're like, okay, how old is this person? And are they going to be hard to manage? Are they going to expect more pay? It's all unfair and it's not even legal, but it's something we have to consider.
Right.
So if you keep it to the last 10 or 15 years, it's the most relevant stuff, and they can't really, it's harder to play the age game, which they're going to play and you're going to lose, but you want to kind of keep the facade going as long as possible.
And in general, do people usually ask for resumes in PDF form or in Word? Because I myself would be feel weird about sending a Word resume,
Word document.
because they could edit it themselves.
Right.
Change my information.
They probably wouldn't do that because they're just quickly looking, like, get me through these documents. But if they don't specify Word, I would send a PDF. But some tracking software wants Word. So it's a good idea to have it available. And also it's well, it's not easier to edit in Word than Adobe, but most places are going to be fine with PDF. So
Yep. We have a question here. So Fran says 30 plus years past graduation, keeping to 2 pages omits education. Best to list experience versus education?
no, you definitely want the education there. If you have a college degree, you want them to know that you have that degree. Right. So if you go back in your experience, like 15 years, that should leave you, a half a page on the bottom. Maybe not this much room, but you definitely have room to get into education and training and software.
Right.
You definitely want to get those in.
And then on the flip side, if you are a college student who hasn't had a lot of internships or jobs in the field and you're just starting to get in, do you reorganize the content a little bit differently in your opinion or not?
Well, it's really the same, except it's much, much shorter. So maybe you've got like a couple professional experiences, and then you can put your education and your software on the bottom of page 1.
Right.
Like if you can do a 1-page resume, do it. If you can't, 2 pages is your max.
We also have seen where some of students who are, they're learning the software, or if they haven't gone to college, they might be taking online boot camps, and sometimes like rating yourself. Does that really affect the decision maker, the hiring manager, when they see 4 stars versus 2 stars? Like, I'm really good in Illustrator, but I'm not so great in Photoshop. I'm really great in InDesign. I'm wonderful in Adobe Express.
Right. I would leave those kinds of judgment calls to the self-reporting they might ask you to do during the interview process. As far as they might ask you, how good are you at copywriting? How do you consider yourself to be experienced a lot with Photoshop? But on the resume, you can just list the softwares.
That's the most important thing to get through the computer saying, yes,
right.
This person's qualified. Okay.
Like if you can use it, you don't have to be like the best in the world to include it on your resume.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Okay. So then once you have and you're never, a resume is always a work in process. You're always going to be tweaking it a little bit. Get something that you're 95% comfortable with, and then decide what you want it to look like creatively. My suggestion is maybe even to send 2 resumes, like one you've designed so they can see what you've got going on there, but also just a plain one so they can scan it real quickly. You kind of got to feel out the company. Use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource for researching companies and getting in touch with hiring managers at companies. And you can contact them directly on LinkedIn and ask them, what kind of a resume would you like to see? I'm applying for the designer position I saw you posted last week, and I'd just like to know which kind of format you prefer. If they never write you back, that's okay. But the chances of them maybe seeing that message and then noticing you, that kind of helps set you apart a little bit.
I like that. That. It's hands-on. It's showing that you're taking initiative even before you submit.
Yes. And we could talk for an hour just on using LinkedIn. You want to follow the companies that you're applying to so they can see that you're following them and let them know that you're interested in them.
Yeah, that's really good.
For sure.
It's really good.
Okay, so go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that's pretty much the basics of the resume. It's not, it's science. So you have to really put some thought into it. But keywords and quantifying and making sure you get your software and education on there are 3 of my biggest takeaways.
Right. So, any questions, comments? Let us know. Type it under the video.
Did you want to talk about some of those samples that you showed us earlier, Andrew, like in the invite? Here, should I exit my screen?
You're fine. I'll
Okay.
just switch it over. But
okay, great.
yeah, so what I wanted to do was just kind of showcase. Let me grab it here.
What's nice about what Andrew's going to show is that there's a low barrier of entrance to using Adobe Express. I think if you work in the creative field, maybe you specialize in social media, so you're not necessarily working on graphics every day, but you still want to do something a little bit more creative than a Word document. Maybe you take the steps that Mandy talked about, creating that Word document. Now it's time to move that content into something a little bit more flavorful. I think the Adobe Express is kind of a low barrier product.
Right. So here I am in a browser, and I'm in express.adobe.com. And you can see Adobe Express in the top left. It might look like this when you first go in. So when you first go in, there's like a home, projects, brands, library schedule. And then there's a bunch of, create a new project. You have all of these here. And then you have quick actions. And there's even a recent area at the bottom that you can go into your designs if you've already been using it. And then there's general templates. It's quite nice. So there's all these very template-based designing. But if you go right up to the top middle, I can type in resumes, return, and then up comes, kind of business category and then creative category, and it keeps going. So, if you go to the top right and you click on the kind of forward arrow, it keeps cycling through. So that's business. And since this is beefing up your creative resume, they will go to creative. And as you can see, there's quite the variety here. You can scroll through even more. Some are very even colorful, which I would say might even be a little distracting if it's too colorful, even though it's a graphic design position.
Yeah, Andrew, I was going to say one of the things that I recommend is, we don't want to waste our ink printing out your resume.
Yeah, like
so
this one here on the right and in the middle, I think,
yeah,
a lot of purple there.
A white background might be more desirable. Just, you don't want to irritate the person that you sent your resume to. Again, I think we kind of lose ourselves so much because we're creative people. We want to create everything. We make everything absolutely stunning. At the end of the day, this is a tool to basically accomplish something, which is get in the door, get the interview, right? The next step in the process of getting a job. So we want to come across creative. We could be creative all day with our portfolios, but we have to think about not irritating the person who has to print out these 50 resumes because no one wants to look at their screen all day. They want to take a break and get that.
Right. So let me show a couple examples. Like this one does have, an image of the person whose resume it is, and then a little bit of design elements up top. That's not overbearing to me because they're still very text focused, so a lot of information focused. But if I go back to, not from there, but go back to discover. Well, I think I just want to go back home. So I don't want to save this one. I just want to use that as an example. I'd be more likely to, after hitting resumes and then going down here, I like this one. So this one is not, heavy on color, heavy with the kind of profile pic. Has a little kind of creative signature. Says a graphic designer, and then it goes into professional experience, freelance references, and has like an about section on the left. And, you know, if you're looking at this and you might like the format, but you don't like the fonts, you know, just be aware that anytime you click, if you look over on the right side, one, you can change the header text. So instead of professional experience, you could switch it up and make that, you know, education first if you wanted to. But when you go down here to like graphic design for Chicago, you can either keep, well, you obviously wouldn't keep it if this is the template. You would change it to your experience. So you'd put down something similar in your area and then the correct date and if it's to the present or not. But you'll notice here under main style, you can easily change the font. So if you go here, you know, you might look down and decide that, you know, maybe this one, which is a bit more modern and clean, Lato regular, you could choose. And then the one thing that I would say though is if you're going to start changing the fonts and you choose a sans serif font like this, which means, you know, it's more modern, does not have the kind of hanging areas, then it would be wise to then go back and make sure you change all of the fonts to either exactly Lato, and there is most likely, yeah, it just seems like the Lato, yeah, it does have a variety. So there's Lato like thin, regular, italic, medium, etc. So for like professional experience, you could make it bold or semi-bold, but I would keep it pretty much the same font. And for sure, if you're going to make it sans serif, make everything sans serif. You don't want like a mixture of sans serif and serif fonts. It'll just kind of look unprofessional, especially if you are a graphic designer. So just make sure that your fonts kind of have a certain theme and style to them. So this is just a very direct one, but I just want to show you how easy it is where you can just click on any portion of the text. You can change the font. And, you know, just as an example, if I go up to this heading, I can click on the text color. There's suggested text color, but what I can also do is just go down here and I can choose a particular color, go to the top right, and I get more of a brighter color. So you could do that. And then I could then go back and change freelance and references to have that same kind of color to it. But
can I say something real quick?
Sure.
This template has a spot for references. You do not need to put references available. You can have a separate sheet with references on it.
I think she froze, but I'll kind of take that further. And just to let you know how easy it is in Adobe Express, if I click on references and then I hit the delete button, it goes away. So I can click on the sub text, click delete, and it goes away. So yeah, you can easily clean up your resume and, you know, you can select different areas and, you know, I can extend this, make it a little bit bigger in general. If I've taken out a big section like that, I can move the whole thing down. And then you'll notice on the right, it does say ungroup. So if I wanted to be able to move aspects, you know, I could say ungroup. And then when I click here, I can then move this up separate from the rest of the body kind of text. And Mandy's back. Good.
Sorry, guys.
So yeah, I was just saying that you can delete those areas pretty easily in Adobe Express. So you just click on the area. On the right is where you would edit the text, edit the font, and then of course you can also edit the line spacing, the letter spacing, and you can choose the different alignments, the different font size. And it's all very easy. It's all right there for you. So
something to consider with the fonts is, as you guys know, probably the serif's easier for print reading and sans serif's easier for on-screen reading. You kind of don't know how they're going to read it, but chances are they're going to take a look at it on the screen for sure. So you may want to stick with sans serif for like the most of your body, and then the serif you could use maybe for headings, or just do sans serif like altogether.
Right. But I wouldn't like have like a lot of body text in, you know, serif and then have another part of like body text in sans serif. Right. Got to keep it kind of balanced. Yeah.
Right.
But, once again, just to show you, quick review, like I said, you click on any section. This is just a template. You can then, of course, personalize it to the information that you want. Then you can change the font, the size, the alignment, the letter spacing, and the line spacing. You can also add like drop shadow, etc. And then at the bottom, just to show you, they have font recommendations too. So you can quickly choose a different set of fonts just by going there. So just very easy. Just wanted to share that. Big fan of Adobe Express.
Andrew, could you show them also how you can download to different formats, like the PDF, for instance?
Oh, okay. So yeah, so say I had spent time and tweaked this and made it to my liking. You'll notice it up in the top right, you just have a simple download button. The minute you click it, you can download it as a PNG. It gives you a creative option of you can download it as a PNG with a transparent background in case you did want to say bring it into Photoshop and also add a design background, which you can also add elements just like that here in Express, but it's giving you that option. And then, of course, JPEG and PDF. And then if you hit the share button, then you can also schedule it to, like, say, social media. And you can also make a new template from this, send it to Google Drive, and in general. So it's, quite helpful, and a lot of different options on downloading and saving. Good. I'm going to jump on.
Did we want to talk about real quick, including your picture or not?
Yeah, so that came up in the chat. I noticed that some people, say, oh, you shouldn't do it. A lot of younger folks are doing it. I started doing it.
I mean, traditionally, that's like a European thing. But the rub is you've got your LinkedIn URL on your resume. They're going to hop over to LinkedIn and see your picture. So if you have a great headshot, you like it, you feel like it's a great representation of you, maybe creatively, professionally, you can include it. Just don't make it, too big. But if you don't want to put your picture on your resume, that's also fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's good.
Great.
Yep.
So shall we start focusing on the contest?
I think so. Could you give them a rundown of what they need to do in the so that if they're still seen as Facebook user, like make sure they go through that process of doing that right. And then, Fran asked a question.
Fran asked, do you recommend adding a QR code to your portfolio? Asked Fran.
I think a QR code is a great idea on your resume, and if you have like a printed portfolio, then because that's going to take them to the website. So yes, having a QR code is a great idea.
Oh, and I had one more question as well, because I know that we talked about it actually in our little description. What about cover letters? No cover letters? Yes, cover letters. Do we use the same terms that we put, the key terms? Like, how important is that?
The cover letter kind of stinks because you should have the cover letter, but they may not read the cover letter. The chances are like 50% of people aren't going to read it. If it says include a cover letter, that's a good indicator that they're going to read it. So you want to just kind of hit the highlights. I'm applying for this position because I have the X, Y, and Z skills that you need. Bam, bam, bam. Here's 3 accomplishments I have. I'm really looking forward to you reading the rest of my resume. You just keep it like super short. There's no like, my love for graphic design began as a small child. Like, there's no need to go into any of that. You can do that on LinkedIn, but the cover letter should be fairly straightforward and simple.
To the point,
Yeah.
All right, so let me give you the rundown about the contest. So the first thing is anybody who is watching, let me find someone. So anyone who's watching from Facebook, if you do not give permission to StreamYard and Facebook together with that link, which is at the, as you scroll down under the description, it'll just say Facebook user, and you will not be able to be part of this contest because we do not know who that person is. So before we begin, you need to give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pic so that we will be able to see your name and let you know that you won. Otherwise, Facebook user will have to just kind of start the contest again. So do give permission first. And then the next thing to do is, let's see, one more question. Yeah, someone says, I am here by name. Yeah, so you need to click that link and give permission so it has your true name and your profile pic for the contest.
Andrew, are you able to show them where to go, or is that not possible with running StreamYard?
Yeah, I don't have all that set up.
Okay.
But bottom line is just anywhere you're watching this on Facebook, underneath the live, you should be able to go down to the description, and then there should be a section that says, click on the link, let me show that again, StreamYard.com/Facebook. Click on that and give permission. And let's see, someone says, Lori says, I helped my new graduate son create a resume, and we included global experience because he studied abroad and volunteer experience and listed a few mission trips. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then somebody mentioned an information interview, and those are brilliant. You can go on to LinkedIn, reach out to a company you're interested in, find a hiring manager, somebody in a similar position, connect with them and say, I would love to speak with you about your company and the future that you guys are looking forward to, and if I could maybe find a place to help. And you know, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're not going to reply. So use LinkedIn to reach out to people, and it will greatly increase your chances of getting a hit.
Great. So yeah, so for the contest, you will need to type in wherever you're watching from the comment #Adobe, and might as well keep it lowercase to make it simple. So just #lowercase Adobe. And then from that, we will be able to cycle through the names, and it'll pick your name, and you will be the winner of Adobe Creative Cloud. And is that for a year, Sarah?
Yeah, so that's for 12 months. Some side notes that you should know. If you already have a subscription, what it will do is it will tack on a whole year past what you've already have a subscription for. So if you purchase it, it ends in December, it'll tack on another year from that December point. If you are a student and you're currently using Adobe software through the school, you'll have to create a new account with a different email than the school account, and they'll give you a whole year's worth. You can't tack on the subscription to if you're using it through your school. Like if you're using it, you're going to school and they gave you an account because that's part of it. So you have to actually create a different account. Choose it. If you don't have it, get a Gmail account, and then you'll get a whole year's worth of that. So,
and I wanted to clarify for the contest, a couple people have typed in where they are watching from and where they are watching on, such as YouTube. You don't need to do that. I would just go back and just type in #Adobe. Just #Adobe only, just to make sure that it reads your entry. Don't disqualify yourself. Follow the rules.
Andrew, is that #Adobe?
No. Just I'm saying like not capitalized. So
so because everybody's
Adobe.
typing in #Adobe.
You did say underscore, and I think you meant lowercase.
Lowercase, yes.
Yes.
It's not easy. It's not easy running these things and looking around and doing all this.
#Adobe.
Just
go
back. Adobe lowercase.
There you go. Let's give them some time to do that, because I think some of them were following your directions to the T.
Yeah.
Andrew is confusing. That's Andrea.
Okay, #Adobe. Get your entries in.
Yes. And don't forget, in July, we were going to be having Eric Addison speak to this particular group on video editing. So I hope that you can tune in. And we're going to also have, hopefully, maybe John Williams in the future as well. Right, Andrew?
Yeah, John Williams. Who's laughing at me at the moment. Okay.
So I'm super excited, super pumped.
Get your entries in last minute. Hashtag Adobe, lowercase, no capitalizations.
And then whoever wins, I'm going to need you to contact me. You can either contact me through the Tampa Bay Adobe User Group website and let me know how you'd like to communicate, or you can just contact me through the Tampa Adobe User Group. You can send me a direct message. I do have to collect some information from you to send to Adobe for the raffle. You know, simple things like first name, last name, where, you know, your email address, that sort of thing. So that's why I'm going to need to take the winner's information offline and get that information from you. So whoever wins that.
So Fran has some idea that we're supposed to be guessing something. There's no guess. Just hashtag Adobe. Put that in your comments under the live, wherever you are watching from.
No,
so far there's 8
guessing.
entries. So.
Oh, so someone has a really good chance. Someone's.
I'm sharing the screen. So that's the hashtag Adobe. No underscore. Just lowercase.
Thank you all again for coming tonight. I know it's everyone's being pulled in 200 different directions these days, so I totally appreciate everyone who could make it out.
So, Fran, did you get your hashtag Adobe comment in?
Yes, I see a comment from Fran that says hashtag Adobe, so she's good.
Okay, so I believe that's it. So those are the entries. We're going to do the draw now. So good luck to the winner for Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. Just double checking, make sure. Thank you for having these meetings. Tricia says, thank you for having these meetings. Yeah. We've been going to these for years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. Okay, and here we go. We're going to do the draw now.
And the winner is Astromaze. Congratulations. Okay, so Astromaze, if you could reach out to me through direct mail, or not direct mail, but a DM. Boy, I'm old.
Postcard.
Sorry. If you could reach out to me, Astromaze, because I'm not really sure who that is, actually. If you could reach out to me through the Tampa Bay Adobe User Group, give me your, oh, it's Caitlin. Oh, that's so wonderful, Caitlin. Congratulations. Caitlin's about to graduate, so this is perfect for her. Woohoo! Great job. Thank you for texting me, Caitlin. I know who you are, and that's a good thing because you're about to graduate and you're going to need the software.
Excellent. Great.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much again, Andrew, for your time. And Mandy, thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to come with us tonight.
Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
And before we go, let's give a shout out to where you can find Mandy online, as well as a little shout out to the groups. So first, you can find Mandy at tampabayresumes.com. And did you want to speak a little bit about Tampa Bay Resumes?
That's just kind of my portal for my resume business at this point in time. I'm rebranding, but I haven't finished that yet. So right now it's Tampa Bay Resumes or LinkedIn.
Great. And then LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/Mandy Miner.
I'm the only Mandy Miner on there. So
one of a kind.
And then don't forget to join the Tampa Bay Adobe User Group on Facebook at facebook.com/groups, Tampa Bay Adobe. If you're not already a member, please come and join my Photoshop and Lightroom group, facebook.com/groups, Photoshop Lightroom group. I believe we just passed 341,000 members. So
nice.
Getting another big group building up again. And then the Digital Art and AI Art group, please join facebook.com/groups, the Digital Art group. And that just passed 6,500 members. So that's starting to build nicely too. And got some comments coming there. So yeah, John says, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Tricia says, thank you all. Happy teach. Andrea says, it was fun. Thanks. Francis, congrats. Astromazed. And Myra says, thank you. So yes. So once again, as I always say, the link to the recording will be posted at the top of the different Facebook groups, as well as that link will take you to my Adobe, which is Digital Art Drew on YouTube. And you can watch it till your heart's content. And if you do go to the section for live events, there are plenty of other Adobe live events that I've done through the past, including ones with Adobe evangelists like Paul Tranny. So we have some on Adobe Firefly, some on Adobe Express, plenty on Photoshop and Lightroom. So do check out Digital Art Drew on YouTube. Can't believe I don't have that as a link under my thing. So let me find it here. Too many things going on. 20 banners here. There it is. Digital Art Drew on YouTube. Please subscribe and do watch as many of the live events as you want to. So thanks everyone for joining, and keep an eye out for the link in the top featured post at the top of the groups. Thanks everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.